Hello, welcome everybody to The Breakdown with your not-so-humble talking hairdo, Ben. It's great to see you guys. Been on a little bit of a hiatus. Got to travel, got to do fun things in the summertime, hide from the heat as best we can. Like to tell you we're all coming from the Neon Parrot Live studios at the Majestic Coffee Shop in historic downtown Abilene, the lean town. Come have a cup of coffee, get you a Topo Chico, whatever your heart desires. I'd like to thank my technical producer extraordinaire, Sam Wolf, for making all this happen for us here at the Neon Parrot Live studios. And thanks to Jan from Hair and Makeup. She cut my hair yesterday, didn't do a great job, but we deal with her as we deal with her. But our thanks go out to the hard crew behind the scenes, for which there are many, as I've said before. All right, today, ladies and gentlemen, football is almost back. It's back technically because tonight is the Hall of Fame game. I will get into that later on in the program, but just to kind of break down the breakdown here with some of our topics. We're going to be talking some NFL football. It is a degenerate gamblers New Year today on a Thursday. We'll get into that here in a little bit down the program here. We're going to be talking about some WNBA. We're going to talk about some Texas Tech football and some college football and the billionaires that are just lighting up the scene on college football and sports as we know it. We also, as we know, during this hiatus of heavy sports talk, I've been covering some current events all around the world of just whether it was the AI Stargate Lancium project here in Abilene or the current, quite frankly, situation that Donald Trump, the president, is in as it regards to the Epstein files. And I guess that's where I'll start today. So you may love that or you may hate that. But what I've learned about myself putting these shows together over the last few months since football's been gone is that I managed to piss off both Republicans and Democrats on a daily basis as I do this show live from the Neon Parrot Studios. Because, and I don't do that as a cop-out. I really don't. I think we should all just be transparent, if I may, about not hitching our horse to one wagon or another, because there's always, a pile of what, and either one of those wagons you want to hitch your ride to. So I'm going to call out both sides on this program because I think that I have this platform and that's what I'm going to use it for. And my opinions vary on different issues. They really do. I've been doing yoga during at certain times of the week with some wonderful people that we probably would vote differently on some key issues that we have in this country. But you know what? They're nice people, and I'm a nice person, and we're just getting our stretch on and our yoga on. And I think as I get older, I realize that if people are nice, then they're nice, and we don't need to judge people for being different or for having a different lifestyle or anything like that. I don't agree with that. And I think if you're a nice person and you're nice to me, then I'm going to be nice to you, and we can hang out and have a good time. On that, I have been doing yoga, and that is not easy, folks. Not that anybody thinks that it's easy, but I know for me, it's It's been so good for me, and I can't wait to just keep doing that stuff along with my regular exercise routine. Anyways, okay. What's new in the Trump Epstein world? It's been a few weeks since I've done the program, but the last time I was here, we were told by the president that we were no longer, there were no files relating to a client list or anything else. And we were one of many programs here at the breakdown that called the bullshit flag on that, because that's exactly what that man ran on, along with running on no more foreign wars and, no more funding Ukraine and the Russia deal. And he's basically turned heel on both of those issues. But we'll keep it to the Epstein files just because it is in the news right now as much as the MAGA crowd and the far right want this to go away. It's not going to go away, because you've given, the administration has given their enemies, which are the Democrats, and everybody that's kind of in the middle, a lot of ammunition here. And I think what both of the sides are going to find with this Epstein stuff this is my prediction, as your not so humble talking hairdo, Ben. My prediction is that this does in fact go away eventually, because what I believe to be true is I believe that both sides of powerful men are dead to rights involved with what was going on that island, on that airplane. If you got on that airplane and you went to that island, we know what you were there for. You can't escape that. So those are my opinions. Now let's talk dollars and cents. The breakdown, if you don't know, if you're new here, Ben loves the Wall Street Journal. And I always grab from it as I do my show. So we've got a bipartisan pair of lawmakers. One, a Democrat from California. His name is Ro Khanna from California, Democrat. And we have Representative Thomas Massie, a Republican from Kentucky. This is a bipartisan pair of congressmen pushing for the release of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. They say they will continue to press the issue when Congress returns from an extended summer break, keeping attention on a political landmine for top House Republicans. They are readying a petition to force a floor vote on legislation that would give Attorney General Pam Bondi 30 days to release files related to Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell. It would force a full release of the files, Massie said on ABC's This Week on Sunday. It's not a pretty please. Would you please show us the files? This is the force of law. So, the president was on the plane at some point. The Epstein guy was at his, I don't know, maybe it was his second wedding, or I don't know how many times the guy's been married now, but, and I don't hate on him for that. I just don't know. But I know that Epstein was at one of Donald Trump's weddings. But, there's nothing to see here, right? Here's why I think Trump's safe. Regardless of what these, when Republicans and Democrats get together and do something bipartisan, wise, like these two gentlemen here are, on paper, it looks really cool. Like, oh, they're getting along. They're going to do something for the betterment of all of us and expose something. But, this is only, in my opinion, this is only going to go so far, folks, because you don't just get to hang Trump for this. This is going to implicate a bunch of dudes on both sides. So what do we say here at the breakdown? This is going to go nowhere, in my opinion. And they're going to release just something, some little something. But once somebody goes down for this, it's going to expose a lot of other people. So as much as the left is really excited about, putting Trump's feet to the fire over this deal, what they don't know is the people that are really in charge of all this are all on the same team to a degree, and they are very much going to protect each other. This is where the Republicans and the Democrats, the people that and the heads of the major money makers in this world, not just this country, but globally, they are at the same golf courses that you and I can't get a tee time at, and at the same restaurants that we can't get a reservation in, and they're figuring out how they're going to protect themselves from this. And, the Ghislaine Maxwell, who's in jail, for apparently no reason, because there is no list and there are no clients, she has been offered some immunity in some way. I don't have that in front of me, but she has been offered to talk some more about who was all involved in this stuff. And guess who might just end up, not breathing if she talks too much. So all I can tell you, folks, is keep an eye on it for entertainment purposes, but I think it's very naive to think that anything's truly going to come of this, because it did great for getting a guy elected. The talking points were great for that. But now the chickens have come home to roost, and people on both sides, both far left and far right and the middle, basically all the people want answers. And that's whenever these, however many sides there truly are with these powerful people, they're about to come together and be on the same team in a big way, the likes that we have never seen pretty soon here, to get rid of this. So they don't have, because there's not going to be just one fall guy. They're all going to go down. So that ain't happening, folks. You heard it here first from the breakdown. I don't care what anybody, writes about or blogs about. It ain't happening. So keep an eye on it, but that is going nowhere. And you heard it first here at the breakdown. So that is interesting. On the grounds of hypocrisy, we have another protest that's happening on August 1st, which is tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, it's the 31st. Yeah. So I went out of town after I went to the No Kings protest back in June. And so I don't think that I got to mention all that on the show, because I wasn't on the show for a couple weeks and I forgot about it. So I did go to the No Kings protest. It was peaceful here in Abilene, Texas. I did get some footage of that, which I don't have to Sammy, which that's okay. But anyways, the No Kings protest was not really largely attended by Abilenians here where we live. There was a few hundred people there at one time, probably. I went to go check it out. There were two sides there. I've done some more research on all these protests, and there's always a QR code to donate, right, to these organizations putting on the protests. So in a way, I feel like these people with good intentions, whether you agree with the issue or not, well-intended citizens who are in many cases missing work, or maybe missing a college exam or something to go to these protests, they're scanning the QR code and giving how much money they can give to the organization. It smells not what it seems to me with a lot of these protests that are not, because with social media and with the advanced technology that we're dealing with, I think
you're definitely hitting on something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because, nonprofits and a lot of these protests are organized under nonprofits. They only have to give like a certain minuscule percentage to the actual cause.
Right.
All the rest donated could be going to people who work in the organization's payroll, lawyers. I mean, the organization could be using it all legitly, and true nonprofits that should be auditable and findable. But yeah, a lot of these big protests, it's like, where's that money really going?
Exactly. And that's a great point Sammy brings up there is where is it going? And that we don't know. And I apologize for not sending. I have a picture somewhere deep in the bowels of my iPhone that is a picture of this QR code at the No Kings protest, which I will find. And I just find that interesting. And so this new protest that I learned about at my yoga class yesterday with, like I said, a lot of different kinds of people there. They always have a little section at the end of what are you doing? What's going on in town this weekend? Blah, blah, blah. So somebody said, well, we've got this 50-50 and 1 protest, which is they're trying to protest in 50 states. Let me pull up my little thingy. There we go. 50 protests, 50 states, 1 movement. Join us in the fight to uphold the Constitution and end executive overreach. August 2nd is Rage Against the Regime. The website.
We are the resistance.
Yeah, we are the resistance.
Not playing into the popularity of the Star Wars franchise at all.
Yeah, right. Sammy mentions the Star Wars franchise and where a lot of this is kind of looks like it might have come from. But, you know, when we talk about hypocrisy, okay, so these protests as of the last couple of months are specifically designed to protest against the president and his administration, and that is what it is, okay? And they're not going to argue with me about that either. That's what it is. But what's very here again, let me disclaimer, I support the right to peacefully protest no matter what the issue. I don't care if I can't take my emotional support cat on a Delta Airlines flight and I'm going to protest that outside of the freaking Delta building. I support you, okay? As long as you're not hurting anybody. But on the issues surrounding these protests, you know, this is a left-wing group. This is and that's great. But the left constantly berates the Constitution all the time. As far back as I can remember paying attention to politics, American politics, the difference that we have in this country versus a lot of other countries is the Constitution. And people argue about how we amend things and how difficult it is and this and that. And we have the Roe v. Wade stuff, and we have, we have lots of things that are different in this country than are in others. But for a group of people that I've only ever heard them trash the Constitution and want it thrown out the window, like the Second Amendment is a big one that they don't like. And then I'm hearing this person, say, well, we better, let's protect the Constitution for government overreach. So, this Trump guy can't be doing all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I don't disagree with you. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Constitution myself. It was written a long time ago. I get it, but it helps us to maintain what and who we are and our ability to protect ourselves and such things. Now, it's just the hypocrisy of the group that is associated with these protests are, when their guy's in office, could Constitution be damned? Take their guns away. You don't get these rights, but we want this right. And then all of a sudden, when it's not their guy, oh, let's protect the Constitution so he can't go a little crazy, so he can't get outside of his, his zone. And so I just wanted to kind of, those are my opinions. And I think it's not really an opinion when you look at just the history of the left and the right. And I just think it's, quite frankly, I think it's hilarious that the left is wanting to protect the Constitution so badly. Now, I think, honestly, you could probably, you should see people on the left and the right at this protest, okay? Because if we're truly saying we want to protect the Constitution, then nobody should have any issues, and they should all go hang out together on August 1st and have a good old time. So I just wanted to mention that as far as my current events, things happening in the world, in the country, and in here locally, because I believe it'll be at City Hall again. And I don't know that I'm going to go to this one because I kind of know, what to expect and what it'll look like. But, public service announcement, if you're going to go to these protests, and you're going to donate money, then you might as well really look into who your money's going to. And if it's a nonprofit, do your homework. And because you earned your money and you want it going to the cause of your choice, so just make sure that the organization you're donating to is legit. So that's what I got on that one. Okay. There are betting lines for the Trump Epstein file release. So before we get into football, I just had to do it because you know what you're dealing with, folks, with your not so humble talking hairdo of a host here. Okay, let's see here. On this website, which will remain nameless, there is a politic button. You hit it, and it goes, politician specials. Donald Trump specials. Will Donald Trump release more Epstein files in 2025? Okay, so I don't know if you guys know how gambling lines work, but yes is the minus 160 favorite. So you got to spend $100 to make $60. So that's pretty decent favorite. No is plus 120. So, anyways, it's just funny that there's actual lines on this stuff. That tells you where we're at as a country as far as gambling addictions are concerned. Anyways, there's a proposition on who will Trump sue in 2025. The front runner is the state of Minnesota. How about that? CNN's close behind. Man, MSNBC's marked safe from Trump. They're like plus 800. Let's see here. Now, next. Who will Trump pardon in 2025? The favorite right now is Zhang Ping Zhao. Don't know him. Don't know what he's in for. Who's number two? Number two at plus 450. Who will Trump pardon in 2025 is yours truly, or not yours truly, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's associate and madam. So that's interesting. I wonder how much money is going in on that. And then you got the Sam Bankman-Fried guy, the guy that laundered all the money. Anyways, okay, that's a long list of people. We covered this earlier just because New York City interests me personally. Probably not everybody here, but there's a big mayoral race, and the projected winner by a huge margin, minus 500, is Zoran Mamdani, he's a defund the police guy. He's he's essentially a communist, admittedly so. And I guess if that's the way New York City wants to go, by the looks of this, it is. But here again, I don't really blame it on the New Yorkers as much as I blame it on who they put up to run in these races. You've got, his opponent is Andrew Cuomo. That guy's a freaking, like, a vampire. He was responsible for all the nursing home deaths during the COVID business in New York City. And so nobody likes that guy. I don't know why. He's like 100. So yeah, you got this Mamdani guy who who's interesting. Okay, I don't really care who they pick, but that's interesting. So, all right, now that was my monologue slash whatever you want to call it on the current events. Um, hope you had fun with the gambling lines on the Trump Epstein business. Okay, we talked yoga. Ben's getting stretchy. Now, the WNBA is awesome. That's what I have written here as a topic. I have been like flying the WNBA flag all season, even before it started, because I mean, there's a lot of dunking. There's not a lot of playing above the rim because they're ladies and that part of their game isn't really there. But to me, it makes for a more technically pleasing product to my eyeballs, because the NBA is just I hate trashing the NBA all the time, but it's gotten to be a pretty awful product, really, and they're paying these guys a bazillion dollars, and these guys have all the power, all the negotiating power. They do what they want. They sit out when they want. The WNBA female players are hungry. When I mean hungry, they're fighting. They're fighting for new contracts right now. They're fighting for more money. In the past, I was on the other side of the fence when it regarded their contracts, because honestly, I didn't think they deserved to get paid in a large sums of money, because their product wasn't really that popular, and the league wasn't making that much money to basically make sense to pay them a lot more. So as I try to figure around my words in my brain and everything else, my apologies. But now, with the appearance of Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, there's a lot of girls in the ladies in the league that have been there for a while. They're very good, but just didn't have the star power. And then Paige Beckers now is a rookie from Connecticut, from UConn. In my opinion, Paige Beckers could be one of the best, given we don't know with injury and all this stuff, but she could be amazing. She could, be better than Caitlin Clark or anybody else. But anyways, I just think the way that they play, the intensity that they play with is above and beyond the NBA, the men's league, and they are hungry. They are proving to their league and to the rest of us, why, yeah, they do deserve to get paid more money, because we're watching more. It's better. It's not just that it's gotten better, it's that there's more eyeballs on it for whatever reason. And so I've been enjoying it. I've been having fun with some wagers, and I've been following an expansion team, the Golden State Valkyries. I think it's their first or second year in the league. They've been doing great, just upsetting people left and right. So tonight, August 31st, tonight we have the Golden State Valkyries versus the Washington Mystics. The Mystics are pretty good. The Mystics are a 4.5 point favorite. I like the Valkyries tonight. I'm gonna watch that game at 6:30. The only thing that's a bummer so far is because the television networks have not seen a reason before now to televise a lot of these games, because it wasn't very popular. Now it has become so. But they're giving you the Indiana Fever games and this and that. But I have the NBA network, which probably a lot of people don't, because of lots of different reasons. But I get some of these games that are not televised on ABC or whatever, or on ESPN, on the NBA network. So that's been pretty cool. And hopefully pretty soon we'll get to see more WNBA. Now tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. is the big game, and it sucks because I think Caitlin Clark is still out with the groin injury. But the Indiana Fever versus the Dallas Wings, that would be Caitlin Clark versus Paige Beckers. And wow, what a shootout it would be. But I think Caitlin Clark is still out with injury, which is just that I hate. It hurts me for the product because it's still going to be a great game because the end of Indiana Fever's got some ballers on that team. But man, the league needs those two stars to go head to head tomorrow night because you're gonna have so many more eyeballs on that. But my eyeballs will be on that game tomorrow night, wherever I have to find it to stream it. Okay, so that I will rest with the WNBA talk for some of my viewers that don't care about basketball at all. Well, you guys are just boring, so you should give it a shot. Okay, let's talk. We got to get into. Okay, I'm going to go football now. Tonight, the Hall of Fame game. The LA Chargers, the artists formerly known as the San Diego Chargers. We all know what San Diego means to Ron Burgundy, but I will not repeat that here. The LA Chargers versus the Detroit Lions for the Hall of Fame first preseason game of the season. So football is back, sort of. This game means nothing. It is a practice game. I would seriously doubt we would see the likes of Justin Herbert or Jared Goff throw football in this game, but they might. But I love the preseason, like the first couple weeks, and then I'm like, I wish I had Big Frank here to talk about this one. But I loved it for the first couple weeks, and then I was like, and then I hate it because I'm like, I just want the season to start. It gets really monotonous. There's way too many preseason games, and that is about what, folks? Money. It's about money so that they can get more of their product on the TV because they know all of us sad sack football junkies are going to watch it no matter how bad of a product you put out there. We're going to watch it. So tonight is their first opportunity to get all of our eyes on it because we're going to watch at least the first half. So the Hall of Fame game is really fun. It's in Canton, Ohio. It's at it's not an NFL-sized stadium. It's really kind of cool if you're just a fan of the sport or sport in general. You've got the Hall of Fame induction ceremony to start off the night's events. So we will get to hear from some of the greats that are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Some of those speeches are a little long-winded, and I mean, one dude, I don't know if it was Ray Lewis or somebody, went for like an hour, and like they don't cut these guys off. They just let them talk. So that should be interesting. But the game tonight is fun. There's some on the Dan Patrick show this morning, they were talking about the gambling lines for this game. And you got to be a real degenerate to bet on the Hall of Fame game or, quite frankly, any preseason game because you have no idea what can happen. But we do have young men that are trying to get a spot on the roster. You're not going to be running probably a lot of the plays that you're going to run in the regular season because you don't want to show, your opponents too much right out the gates. So a lot of times it's kind of a mess, but you do get to see it highlight some of these guys that are fighting for their job. And so I'm excited about that. Can't wait. I think on the DP show this morning, one of the guys was saying that probably the over-under on the points is the best way to attack this if you are indeed a degenerate gambler with a serious problem if you're betting on this game tonight. But so I think the over-under is at like 17 or 19 points, so they're only expecting maybe a touchdown or two to be scored. Now, what we used to say on the show, which I haven't said in a while because it hasn't been football season, but I would go for the over. But, what we say is you might want to fade Ben on that, go the other way. But I think there might be some more points scored tonight than what is being expected. Because that's just the way of the new football that we have. Okay, That's the Hall of Fame game. That's about all. That's as excited as I can get about that, folks. I'm sorry, but it does mean that the dog days of summer that we are in the midst of are coming to a close soon, and it means fall. It means, you know, cooling off temperatures, and it means football. And to continue on the topic of football, I would like to just dabble in a little bit of college football, which, as we've said before on this program, college football is absolutely the Wild West right now. It is just no holds barred, no rules. I mean, players are just getting cash thrown at them left and right. There's a transfer portal where if a player, you know, gets a better offer mid-season, they can just leave. It's really crazy. They're trying to do some legislation right now on like a cap that you're allowed to pay these kids. I think each university is allowed $25 million to go to their athletes. Let me just tell you something, folks. That's cute because it ain't how it's going to work. These guys are going to get them money however they want to. So that brings me to my next topic on college football. That would be this article is from CBS Sports, which is a great website, by the way. It is the West Texas Boom, inside Texas Tech's bold all-in bet on NIL and the billionaire landman responsible. Come on, baby. That's Texas Tech right there. I can't wait. We have been so irrelevant in football for so many years. It is just, it kills me. I spent, like I say, you folks, Texas Tech was my almost mater. Spent 4 years there. Didn't quite get the piece of paper, but a piece of my soul is in that flat ground in Lubbock, Texas, in that red dirt, okay? So Cody Campbell, let's see here. I'm going to just read a little bit from this article because my tech bros are going to love this. So Cody Campbell signed some of his earliest land acquisitions on the hoods of work trucks at drilling sites across the Permian Basin, where your boy Ben's from, Midland, Odessa. A 3-year starter along the offensive line at Texas Tech from 2001 to 2004, Campbell didn't have the backing of major investor when he went out prospecting. It was just him and John Sellers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm trying not to bore you guys. They basically started, long story short, they started an oil company and made $1 bazillion, okay? So now there's some more interesting things about their company, but essentially he is just injecting cash upon cash of getting, he's going around and poaching the best players, so I've been told, across the country in the world of college sports, okay? So Texas Tech very well may be a contender this year. Nobody's really talking about them. I've heard this on some sports radio about, you know, the guy's capital that he's injecting into the Texas Tech program. But we'll find out if money truly does buy success in this particular instance, because Texas Tech is still Texas Tech. Can you get the best players from around the country, put them on a team, and will they all make the best team? Or does coaching still matter? And does organizational, what do we call that? The Dan Campbells and these guys have it. Damn, what's the name of that word that I'm looking for? It's okay, I'll come up with it. The culture. Thank you, Ben, from the annals of your brain. The culture that a coach and a staff and a program brings these young men that are just basically boys. They're little man children. They're giant man children, and they still need even in this world of pay me the money, show me the money. You know, I'm the best player. Give me the most money. I'll go wherever. Does that still mean that you're going to win? I guess we're about to find out, and I hope Selfishly, I hope it does, because I want Texas Tech to make some noise out there. So we will find out. And I think a lot of the reason why a lot of people aren't talking about it is because I guess, Texas Tech just doesn't create waves in the media conversation of college football, but that very well could change. So also, I've been seeing. I'm getting ready to close up the show here, but locally here in Abilene, ACU had a great season last year. We followed them basically from week one, and did some picks, and they went all the way to the championship game. But we lost some players from ACU to some big schools that wanted to pay them a bunch of money. However, we also gained a lot of players at ACU because we're starting to sling some money around. And I'm seeing the quarterback kid on a billboard for a law firm over on one of these major streets here. I'm starting to see signs of cash that is being, because they're paying this kid to be on their billboard. So it's going to be a wild year for college football. I can't wait. I'm excited for Texas Tech. I'm excited for ACU. We will be following them. Now, to close things up, I am reading my first Stephen King novel. How about that? I've never read one Stephen King book, and I am giving it a shot. I am reading Salem's Lot. I can't remember what year it came out, but it's essentially kind of like the OG vampire book, and I'm pretty pumped about that. It's taken me 54 pages, I think, to get some real action going, but it's a pretty long book, and so far it's got pretty spooky, pretty dark, pretty fast, but we're headed into the spooky season. We're headed into pumpkin spice, and we're headed into, football and Halloween, scary movies, scary books. So that's where I'm at. I'm reading Salem's Lot. And if I like it and it goes good, I'm going to go for the next Stephen King book. And I should not drop this because they're not paying me a dime, but we in the little sleepy village of Abilene, Texas, have just gotten a Barnes & Noble booksellers. I've been there 3 times. I was there when it opened, opening day, Wednesday. Last week, I was there. And I don't go to places when they open day one. I don't even go, if it's a food place, I'm not going there for 6 months. Till all the weirdos and everybody gets out of there and they figure it out. But Barnes & Noble, man, what a magical place for a kid, a kid from the sleepy little town of Abilene. Man, that's exciting. But you should still support your local bookstore down here in downtown called 7 and 1. Go there instead. I go there too. I buy books from there too. But wow, what an exciting day. Okay, Sammy, I think that about covers everything. And thank you guys for joining me today on the breakdown. I'm excited for next week. And we got, watch the WNBA. It's going to be great. Texas Tech football, Hall of Fame game. Keep an eye on the documents of the Epstein files that you will never see, that nobody will ever be in trouble for. And if you want to go to a protest this weekend, there's one at City Hall, 50-50 and 1. Mark Ben's safe from that. Do some yoga, exercise, eat a vegetable or two while you're at it. Oh, I found out that Taco Bell, the beef is not real, or it kind of is. They put some kind of a silicate inside the beef to make it expand so that they can use more. So you're basically, if you're eating Taco Bell, you're eating sand. So have fun with that. Anyways, thanks again. Thanks, Sammy. Thanks, Jan from Hair and Makeup. Watch the Travie Wavy. There's an interesting guy on earlier. I'm going to watch the program and see what he had to say. But go Raider Nation, because we're coming. We're coming for everybody's head. We're coming for the Chiefs. We're coming from the Donkeys. We're coming for everybody. But anyways, have a great day, guys. We'll see you next week with Big Frank. And thanks again, Sammy, and you can take us out.